Every man who gets romantically involved with Kim Kardashian eventually ends up broken, humiliated, or publicly dragged through chaos. Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries thought he had it all: an NBA career, fame, and then marriage to Kim Kardashian, but his story turned into one of the most humiliating pop culture disasters of the decade. Their marriage lasted a record-breaking 72 days before collapsing into tabloid chaos. Humphries went from being a solid basketball player to a national punchline, booed by fans in arenas across the country. He later admitted he felt like his entire career had been overshadowed by that marriage, and he never regained his footing in the NBA. One wedding with Kim, and his legacy was destroyed. Kanye West. Now, Kanye West might be the most tragic example. When Kim and Kanye got together, he was a cultural god, one of the most influential artists alive, but during their marriage, the controversy started spiraling. Bizarre Twitter rants, public feuds, his run for presidency, and explosive interviews that tanked his reputation and career. By the time Kim filed for divorce, Kanye wasn't the icon he once was. He was viewed as unstable, erratic, and controversial to the point of cancellation. Some fans argue Kim drained the very life out of his image, leaving him a shell of who he once was. Pete Davidson. Now, Pete Davidson's fling with Kim seemed like harmless fun until it wasn't. Almost overnight, Pete was caught in a brutal feud with Kanye, who made music videos about burying him alive and trolled him relentlessly on social media. Pete, who has been open about his struggles with mental health, reportedly ended up in trauma therapy after all of this. Now, his image shifted from the funny SNL comedian to Kim's rebound guy who got burned alive in Kanye's circus. Pete may have survived, but his career momentum hasn't, and it really hasn't been the same since. Ray J. Now, Ray J is the man who started it all. His relationship with Kim birthed the infamous tape, we know, that launched her entire empire. But while Kim turned the scandal into a billion-dollar brand, Ray J was left typecast as the guy from the tape. Every attempt at music, business, or television came with Kim's name attached to him, now overshadowing his entire career. He spent years trying to reclaim his narrative, but it's undeniable. Kim came out on top, and Ray J's career never fully recovered. Reggie Bush. Now, Reggie Bush was one of the NFL's most exciting players when he dated Kim, but after their breakup, his career slowly faded into mediocrity. Fans often joked about the Kardashian curse, being Reggie, never lived up to the superstar expectations set early on, and despite being, a Heisman Trophy winner, his name gets brought up less for his sports legacy and more for being one of Kim's exes. That alone shows the destructive pattern dating Kim makes your personal brand all about her, not you. Either way, history doesn't lie. Every man Kim Kardashian dates ends up destroyed.
Kim Kardashian is feuding with one of her sisters again. She's been called out by Khloe with her shady Instagram posts, as the pair have been fighting on the new episode of the Kardashians. Now, in the most recent episode of the Kardashians, the sisters clashed over Khloe's parenting, with Kim suggesting that Khloe's 2 kids rule her life. Now, this came about after Khloe turned down a trip to Paris for Fashion Week because she wanted to be home with her kids. Now, last week's episode also documented their family vacation to Aspen, which took place in January. On the trip, Kim called out Khloe for FaceTiming her daughter during their group dinner. Now, Kim again was annoyed with this. Kim said in a confessional, "Here we go again. She just is so stuck on what's going on at home that she can't have a good time," before later describing Khloe constantly FaceTiming her kids as annoying. Several viewers of the reality show have since called Kim out for shaming Khloe, and fans have actually done the math and figured out that Khloe was seemingly shading Kim on Instagram around the very same time that they were quietly clashing. Now, back in January and February, around the same time as the Aspen trip, Khloe shared multiple quotes that are seemingly aimed at Kim. 20 years from now, the only people who'll remember if you worked late are your kids, one quote read. "Raise your children to be impressed by kindness, loyalty, and humility, not just wealth, possessions, and power," read another. Then in 2007, Kim and her then boyfriend, Ray J, tape was leaked online, and it's how Kim rose to fame. Now, Kim sued Vivid Entertainment for ownership of the tape. In late April 2007, Kim dropped the suit and settled for $5 million. Now, the blame was put on Ray J for releasing the video, but after all these years, Ray J maintains his innocence. He said, "I've sat in the shadows for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name, to abuse my name, make billions of dollars over a decade and a half, talking about a topic I've never really spoken about. I've never leaked anything. I've never leaked tape in my life. Now he claims that Kim and Kris negotiated the release of the tape in the early 2000s. Now Kris apparently watched 3 different Ray J and Kim's and chose to leak the one that gave her daughter a better look. Now if that's true, that is just gross. Now Kris Jenner has denied playing a role in getting her daughter tape released and even took a lie detector test on the James Corden show, but Ray J is still adamant that they did help. Now looking back, Ray J said he is embarrassed of the tape. Now Kim's whole relationship with Kris Humphries was something else. They dated for 6 months before they got married. Now Kris wasn't really into all the fame, but Kim wanted it all. Now their relationship made them a lot of money. The reality star was paid $1.5 million by people for their wedding photos alone. They also got $30,000 for their engagement announcement and another massive chunk of cash from both her bridal shower and her honeymoon pictures. Not to mention the bonus check they got from airing their wedding on Keeping Up. Now afterwards though, after 72 days, Kim filed for divorce. Now Kris felt bamboozled and cited fraud as the reason for wanting an annulment. Kim's paperwork stated irreconcilable differences, and she later discussed the marriage on her show and revealed her mother encouraged her to run on her wedding day if she needed to. Now following their split, Kris's lawyer told the Los Angeles fraud court that Kim had no intention of proceeding with this marriage. It was basically a tactic for the benefit of her show and to make money. But Jonathan Jackson, who worked with the reality star between 2007 and 2009, said that the pair's union was a publicity stunt. Speaking on Good Day LA back in 2011, Jackson said 2 weeks prior to her wedding, she knew it was not something she wanted to do. Unfortunately, they were obligated to honor contracts with the E! Network, which had TV rights. Otherwise, they would have owed a lot of people a lot of money. Now, after their divorce and sketchy relationship, Kris exposed some of Kim's secrets. Back in 2013, Kris revealed that the proposal for the show was not a surprise and that Kim was aware of it, so the scene where she seemed moved and surprised in is super fake. In fact, Kris went further to say that they had to reshoot the proposal because Kim didn't like her reaction. Kim told Kris how, where, and when to propose. It was absolutely no surprise to her whatsoever, a source told Radar Online. First of all, Kris proposed in the middle of the day, and he had to do that because it would create better lighting to capture the moment. Now Kim looked surprised but knew it was happening. She was in full hair and makeup, and she's always in on the show. But all of his ideas were shot down by production officials and Kim. Now another person she got married to was Kanye West. They got married and had 4 children together, and they were happy until things started to go south in 2020. In July 2020, Kanye acknowledged the possibility of Kim ending their marriage, and later that month, he wrote on Twitter that he had been attempting to divorce Kim. Now he also wrote that the Kardashian family was attempting to lock him up. In January 2021, CNN reported that the couple were discussing divorce, and a month later, Kim filed for divorce, agreeing to joint custody of their children and declining spousal support from each other. The divorce settlement was finalized in November 2022, and after they divorced, Kim dated Pete Davidson, which Kanye did not like, and he took a lot of digs at Pete and Kim. He posted online about it saying, "You are lying and are liars. Y'all basically kidnapped Chicago on her birthday so she couldn't remember her father not being there, so there. Also, I should see my children 100% of the time, but since there's a separation, it should have been 50% of the time. Y'all wouldn't have played with Donda like that in Jesus' name." Now, the Kardashians, for their part, have repeatedly denied Kanye's claims about Chicago's birthday, and after this rant, Khloe commented on Kanye's posts, begging him to please stop tearing Kimberly down, adding that she and her family have had enough of the false birthday narrative. Now, at the 2022 Met Gala, Kim arrived in the iconic Happy Birthday Mr. President Marilyn Monroe dress. Now, Kim said the idea of wearing the late actress's dress felt like the perfect representation of America. She was granted special access to wear it as it is kept in a museum, and people did not like this. They thought it was unfair and in poor taste to take the dress of an icon and have Kim wear it. Now, besides that, Kim revealed that she had to lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks in order to fit into the gown. She said, "It was such a challenge, it was like a role, I was determined to fit in it. I'd wear a sauna suit twice a day, run on the treadmill, completely cut out all sugar and all carbs, and just eat the cleanest veggies and protein. I didn't starve myself, but I was so strict." Following this, many slammed Kim for appearing to promote a toxic and dangerous mindset about body image and weight loss. She said, "To me, it was like, okay, Christian Bale can do it for a movie role and that is acceptable. It's all the same to me. I wasn't saying, hey everyone, why don't you go lose this weight in a short period of time." Now, her losing all that weight in a short period of time though really rubbed people the wrong way. And finally, we have Kim's short-lived feud with Chloe Grace Moretz. In July 2016, when Kim had her own celebrity feud going on with Taylor Swift, she posted her supposed proof on Snapchat of Taylor lying, and fans went crazy. This annoyed Chloe Grace Moretz though, who tweeted, "Everyone in the industry needs to get their heads out of a hole and look around and realize what's actually happening in the real world. Stop wasting your voice on something so petulant and unimportant." Minutes later, jumping to her big sister's defense, Khloe Kardashian responded with a collage of pictures. Now, the first picture was of Chloe Grace at the beach, and the next photo was a photo of an unknown blonde-haired woman, who she presumably thought was Chloe, in the sea suffering an embarrassing and revealing bikini mishap. Now, Khloe Kardashian captioned the image, "Is this the hole you're referring to?" at Chloe G. Moretz, and Chloe straight away tweeted back, "Fact check, first photo is me filming my movie Neighbors 2, the second photo is some girl who was wrongly photographed." But this feud didn't end there though. In 2016, Kim turned heads for sharing a full frontal nude selfie with only black bars to protect her modesty on Twitter. She captioned the photo with, "When you're like, I have nothing to wear, lol." Then, out of nowhere, Chloe responded to the picture by commenting, "I truly hope you realize how important setting goals are for young women, teaching them we have so much more to offer than just our bodies." Now, Kim didn't take this lying down and replied back, "Let's all welcome at Chloe G. Moretz to Twitter since no one knows who she is. Your nylon cover is cute, boo."
Number 10. Chloe Grace Moretz. Chloe got into it with Kim when she posted a birthday pic mirror selfie in 2016. Like most things Kim Kardashian does, the internet went crazy with supporters and protesters. Even a ton of celebrities felt the need to chime in and tell Kim how they were feeling. Chloe posted to Twitter telling Kim that she truly hopes she realizes how important setting goals are for young women, teaching them that women have more to offer than just their bodies. Not one to let anything go, Kim responded saying, "Let's all welcome Moretz to Twitter since no one knows who she is." Shade! Chloe responded a few months later during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, revealing that she had regrets about giving Kim Kardashian attention, but not for the comments she made. She said she realized that being the most opinionated and loud person in the room is not always the most impactful. This tweet haunted her for years. In 2018, the Kardashians sent her perfume as a gift to her A-list haters. According to Chloe, she didn't even get the perfume, her publicist took it instead. After a few years of being asked about one comment, Chloe had to put her foot down and ask people to stop asking her about it because it's an old and pointless story. Number 9. Taylor Swift. The Taylor-Kim feud has lasted a long time and is extensive. While some may think that the only thing tying these people together is the 2009 VMAs, which is fair, that's far from the case. The 2009 VMA moment, where Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift as she was accepting her award for Best Female Artist, took the microphone from her hand and claimed that Taylor was great, but that Beyonce had the best video of all time. At the time, this wasn't a massive deal, but behind the scenes there was some shady stuff going on. When Kanye and Kim were still together, they were a toxic combination, so toxic that they thought it'd be a great idea to write a song where they literally call Taylor a word that rhymes with snitch and use her name. Later on in 2016, Kanye claimed that he was given permission to use the lyrics and was backed up by his wife Kim after she posted a clip from a phone call that took place between themselves and Taylor. Now, after the internet saw this, it was irrefutable evidence that Taylor Swift was lying, and the online feud quickly dissolved. However, in 2020, the unedited version of that phone call was released, and West did not ask Taylor Swift about the lyrics at all, and Taylor was forced to respond on her Instagram by saying simply that she was telling the truth. At the time they wrote the lyrics and made the phone call, the bit about Taylor being a snitch hadn't even been written yet. Thankfully for Kim, she split from Kanye, but the phone call just proved that Kim is a liar and only wants to be famous no matter what it takes. Number 8. Naomi Campbell. Kim Kardashian has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, from restaurant employees to her staff and supermodels. In 2014, Naomi Campbell appeared on The Morning Show, where she was also asked about her thoughts on Kanye West and Kardashian's Vogue cover. Campbell seemed very hesitant to give an honest answer, doing her best to skirt around the issue while still giving enough information to viewers for them to realize that she was definitely throwing some shade at Kim, literally saying that she did not want to comment. When pressed about the answer, Campbell explained explained that she is a fashion model and she's been working for 28 years, and when you get a Vogue cover, it is a build in your career. It's a stepping stone to achievement, she said, suggesting that Kim did deserve the cover and had literally no further comments to make. Considering what she could have said, Campbell handled the situation pretty well and with a ton of respect, but bloggers attempted to add fuel to the fire in April 2019 when they started accusing Kardashian of stealing Campbell's most notorious red carpet looks. Kim set the record straight, saying that in this case, imitation was the sincerest form of flattery. According to Kim, herself and Naomi had talked about this before any clothes were worn, and the pair also created a short film with Cher in 2020, so either they patched things up or they kept it together for Cher, which I would do as well. Number 7, Bette Midler. Kim's birthday suit mirror selfie caught the attention of a lot of celebrities. One who chimed in just completely out of left field was Bette Midler. Bette is an incredible woman, well known for her music career. She is also a fantastic actor who is probably most universally known as Winifred Sanderson from the film Hocus Pocus. Bette posted on Twitter weighing in on her feelings about Kim, saying that Kim Kardashian tweeted a birthday suit selfie, and if Kim wants us to see a part of her that we have not seen yet, she's gonna have to swallow a camera. That is legendary. What a great roast. Please get this woman on the dais of the next Comedy Central celebrity roast as soon as possible. Kardashian commented back with a joke of her own, asking Midler to send birthday pics of her own, even though it was past her bedtime. Get it? Cause she's old? Ending the comment with the hashtag, just kidding. However, a few minutes later, she posted another, more sinister comment saying, Bette Midler, I really didn't want to bring up how you sent me a gift a while back trying to be a fake friend and then come at me. Kim's terrible, eh? But she did not have the last laugh. Bette responded to the comment telling Kim that she has never tried to be a fake friend. Looks like anyone can take a selfie, but not everyone can take a joke. Which is very true. How are you going to write the first joke about her being old, and then before she even responds to that joke, you comment again saying like, you know what, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but why not? That's a terrible way to start a conversation and a terrible thing to do. Number 6. Pink. A lot of celebrities seem to be upset and annoyed when Kim Kardashian posted that birthday suit selfie, and one of those powerhouse musicians was Pink. She took to Twitter to comment on Kim and her photos, shading her selfie and tweeting a photo of a note that she wrote pertaining to women. She wrote, "Shout out to all of the women across the world using their brains, their strength, their work ethic, their talent, their magic that they were born with that only they possess," and continued that it may not ever bring you as much attention or banknotes as using your body, your orientation, your identity, but women like you don't need that kind of attention. Pink does not hide her feelings, so when she came onto a show called Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, a fan asked her if her post was in fact in reference to Kim Kardashian, and Pink did not hesitate and said yes. Kim had apparently gone in on Bette Midler, and according to Pink, if you mess with Bette, you'll be hearing from the Pink. Number 5, Miley Cyrus. Miley is no stranger to a raunchy post or two, but when Kim Kardashian posted those birthday selfie pics that everyone seems to be upset about, it didn't go over well with Miley either. Her issue was not with the photo itself, but instead of the amount of attention that the photo had received. Miley was even prompted to create her own Instagram post addressing the issue. The pics from Kim became such a phenomenon that Miley just couldn't ignore it, in her words. Taking to Instagram, Miley posted a Kim-moji of Kim Kardashian's famous booty, clearly trying to let everyone know who she was talking about without actually posting any pictures of Kim Kardashian. She also included a caption addressing the feud, calling those involved tacky. Instead of asking the world to just straight up stop celebrating Kim, she attempted to shift the focus to celebrating women in general, posting to her Instagram asking women to celebrate each other, writing, "Why don't we overly fortunate women come together and try to create and bring jobs to other women in desperate need of them, so that they can support not only themselves but their families as well." Kim never responded to that post or showed any support of any kind for Miley, and eventually the world moved on to something else, but the message Cyrus was trying to share is one worth noting. Number 4, Sharon Osbourne. Sharon is no stranger to controversy herself, being fired from her views on The Talk, but that did not stop her from being one of the celebrities that vocally trashed Kim's mirror pics. Sharon even went so far as to recreate the photo herself in support of Kim, writing #liberated. However, while the photo is still up, she seemed to go back on her statement in 2017 when she berated Kim for the revealing photo. She wrote that Kim says she is doing everything in the name of feminism, but that this was not that. She said in reference to the Kardashian women as a whole that these women live off their bodies, half of LA has been through them, and everything they do from the tapes to the plastic see-through dresses and gym wear are all about sex and not female progress. Kardashian responded to the post saying that she never exclusively said that anything was in the name of feminism. Instead, she said she posts body-barring pics because she said, "I like how I look and I feel proud when I've lost all the baby weight." And she posts it because she feels like posting it and feels powerful. Those are her words. Number 3, Beyonce. Considering Beyonce and Kim run in similar circles thanks to their Hollywood connections, their former rap husbands who were friends, and entrepreneurial backgrounds, you would think that these people get along, but apparently that is very far from the case. Rumors about Kardashian and Beyonce's feud started in 2014 when Jay-Z and Beyonce didn't show up to Kim and Kanye's wedding. Fans, being the way that they are, started launching rumors left and right, flooding the internet with possibilities. 2 of the big ones were A, that they were too busy, which is fair, and the second being that Rachel Roy, who Jay-Z is rumored to have cheated with, was going to be there. In October 2016, the rumors escalated after a source told The Mirror that Beyonce has genuinely never liked Kim Kardashian. She's apparently tolerated her because of their husband's friendship and mutual friends. Beyonce also can't stand the whole reality TV shtick, which is fair, it's an annoying show. Of course, with it now being 2023 and Kim being long divorced from Kanye, there's a small chance that they've patched things up, but why would they? Beyonce's a superstar in her own right, and now that her hubby isn't connected to Kim, she just can ignore her while Kim continues to do her thing. Number 2, Piers Morgan. Piers wrote an open letter to Kim in 2016 in the wake of her awful Paris robbery when 5 men tied her up and robbed her. While he wrote that he initially liked her after interviewing her in 2011, his feelings towards her had been skewed. In the letter, he wrote something about how Kim had changed since the moment he first met her. She grew slowly coarser, according to Piers, and snarkier, and started bombarding the world with regular X-rated selfies. By 2018, his tirade continued, claiming on Good Morning Britain that time should be up for Miss Kardashian after she posted a topless photo on Instagram. Unsurprisingly, Morgan happened to later be a recipient of Kardashian's Valentine's Day gifts, the only man on that list. The gift only fueled his hatred and criticism, and in September of 2019, he continued his hate when he mocked Kardashian's Emmy presentation with her sister Kendall, where the entire audience openly laughed at the 2 starlets. Morgan said that compared to the genuinely talented people on stage that night, those sisters looked like idiots. And at number 1, Amber Portwood. One of Kim's earliest feuds dates back to 2011 when she upset a ton of young moms from the TV show Teen Mom. Kim wrote a negative post on her blog about teen pregnancy rates, blaming Teen Mom for making the situation seem cool in the eyes of young women. Clearly, she's never seen an episode of that show. There's nothing cool about it. In fact, it's pretty depressing. One of those kids, as she put it, didn't let Kim talk down to them without consequences. Amber posted on Twitter saying that the last time she checked, Kim had an X-rated movie floating around the internet that she made a lot of money off of. She did that, but she wants to bash the girls in Teen Mom. When her sister Kylie got pregnant, she seemed much more supportive of the situation, so it's okay to have a baby when you're young, so long as you're related to Kim Kardashian. May that be a lesson to all of you.
At number 10, we have Anna Wintour. Their shady feud started back when Anna put Kim and Ye on the cover of Vogue. They were in their wedding attire and flaunting their new marriage. Obviously, a lot of high-class readers were really unhappy about this, and it caused a lot of outrage from people. But Anna clapped back, saying that if she always put tasteful people on the covers, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. And all the outrage from people got more people talking about the magazine and would boost sales. Well played, Anna. Very well played. And that's not where their feud ends either. Anna was less than impressed with Kim's appearance at Paris Fashion Week, and she was even more upset at the fact that she showed up almost 50 minutes after it began, then tried to weasel her way up to the front to sit next to Anna. So, being the classy lady she is, she moved over a seat and faced her body language away from Kim and didn't acknowledge her existence. Now that's a snub if I've ever seen one. At number 9, we have Scott Disick. There's no surprise that he wants nothing to do with the family anymore, considering he's Kourtney's ex-husband. He was actually a fan favorite while he was on the show, but after they split, things got really awkward and he was no longer invited to events. for obvious reasons. And he refuses to watch the reboot of the show, considering Kourtney is now married to someone else. Apparently he had some loyalty issues while he was with Kourtney, but that wasn't what split them up. It was the fact that he was constantly struggling with substance issues, and he claimed that the only reason he was unfaithful was because of the substances. One way or another, they have snubbed one another, and Scott has moved on since then. So I guess everything worked out? At number 8, we have Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson is an incredible actress starring in Bridesmaids and the Pitch Perfect trilogy, and she faced a lot of criticism because of her weight loss journey. Something that hasn't changed though is her hatred for Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian family as a whole, really. She was asked to present an award alongside with Kendall and Kylie Jenner, and she refused the offer without hesitation. She said that she didn't want to be compared to Kim Kardashian because Kim became famous from a private tape, whereas Rebel went to school for acting and earned her fame. She went to school in Australia for acting in the early 2000s to the 2010s, and she starred in Pitch Perfect in 2012, which was one of her biggest roles. So you can't blame her for snubbing the Kardashians, who didn't have to lift a finger for their fame when she worked incredibly hard to get to where she is now. At number 7, we have Prince, the Purple Rain singer who is a musical prodigy, so for him to have something against the Kardashians is very interesting to think about. But it started back when he was still with us and touring. Kim Kardashian was up front at one of his concerts, and he spotted her in the audience and called her onto the stage. She complied begrudgingly, and she just kind of stood on the stage awkwardly because Prince expected her to dance. Well, little did he know, she swore off dancing ever again when she was eliminated first off Dancing with the Stars. So she was sticking to that. After a few very awkward minutes, he kicked her off the stage. And even after that, Prince said that the Kardashians would never be invited to one of his parties because he didn't want anything to do with them. That was definitely a blow to Kim's ego, and he even took this snub with him to the grave, considering they never reconciled. Can you blame him, really? At number 6, we have Chelsea Handler. She was the host of her own e-show called Chelsea Lately, and it was right up there with Keeping Up with the Kardashians in terms of views. However, in 2014, Chelsea quit because she was just fed up with celebrities, and having to always be talking about them, seeing them, and everything about it just got to her. She named the Kardashians particularly because people always talked about how much they hated the Kardashians, but how they only watched the show to make fun of them. She claimed that that was one of the biggest parts of the problem, and there was no point in complaining about them if you're gonna watch the show anyway. So she left E! And moved to Netflix. Her career has been thriving there, and she is even still blaming the Kardashians for the downfall of modern media. Rightfully so, if we're being honest here. So we can assume she is still snubbing them hard after leaving. At number 5, we have Bette Midler. Bette Midler is a woman of many talents. She's a singer, an actress, and a comedian, and overall quite the iconic character. So not only is she a triple threat, but she also has a deep-seated hatred for Kim Kardashian in particular. Like many other celebrities, she hates the fact that Kim didn't do anything to get her fame, and that people worship her for being a whiny middle child, and an icon of bad choices and fake bodies. But what she hates the most is how comfortable Kim is with showing off her full body online and acting like it's the most normal thing in the world. When Kim posted a fully nude photo to her Instagram, Bette snapped back on Twitter and said that if there was a part of Kim she wanted the whole world to see that we haven't seen already, she would have to swallow the camera. Kim attempted to get back at her with harsh words and snide remarks, but Bette had already won because she did have a better point. After this, we can assume that Bette snubbed Kim since she really had the last laugh. At number 4, we have Amber Rose. Amber has been snubbing Kim for years, considering she blames her breakup with Kanye on Kim. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back when both Kim and Ye were in long-term relationships, they claimed that they were just friends. And when they both left their long-term partners, they decided that they were single enough to get with one another. But Amber tells a different version of the story, saying that Ye was very secretive and closed off towards the end of their relationship, and he started dating Kim very shortly after. She attributes their breakup to her, but that's not all. She has beef with the other Kardashian-Jenner siblings as well, because she's very close friends with Blac Chyna, who was briefly engaged to Rob Kardashian, and it ended up getting very messy. But when Amber commented on Kylie and Tyga's relationship, saying it was ridiculous, that was where Khloe stepped in, saying that she doesn't need to worry about her sister, considering she has an established career without being an exotic dancer. Amber didn't didn't take too kindly to this and snapped back at her, saying that she was just doing what she needed to do to support her family, just like Kim did. The feud was going on for years, and Amber snubbing the Kardashians is really nothing new. At number 3, we have Taylor Swift. Their history goes way back, and it's incredibly complicated. It started back in 2015 when Kim got herself involved in the Ye and Tay drama because, as his then wife, it was part of her job, I guess. But she made matters worse for herself when she tried to gaslight Taylor because Kim claimed she knew that Kanye was going to use her name in a negative way in his song Famous, whereas Taylor heavily denied that fact. Kim really enjoys leaking things. So she leaked the phone call between Taylor and Ye talking about the release of the song, and everyone sided with Kim for years until Taylor got access to the real phone call, full and unaltered, and posted it so that she could prove that it was in fact Kim who was in the wrong. But Kim, being who she is, played the victim and said that people already knew what was on the voicemail and it wasn't anything new. What was different was the fact that they never sat down and discussed the lyrics, and Ye released the song without checking with Taylor about the lyric, "I made that be famous," and since then they still haven't patched things up, and Taylor still has both of them snubbed. At number 2, we have Barack Obama. You know you done messed up when the former president of the United States has something against you as a human being. He did take pictures with Kim to be polite, because that's just who he is, but he admitted he wanted his daughters to have nothing to do with the TV show and tried to keep them away from the Kardashians as much as possible, because he didn't want them to influence his daughters, Kim especially. He even said that he told his daughters specifically to avoid the show at all costs, because he didn't want them to think that Kim was a marker for success and that she was giving off all the wrong impressions. Of course, Kris, the momager of them all, did not like this and tried to snap at him. And of course, it didn't do anything, because she doesn't hold nearly as much power as he did. But he made it a point to not only snub the show, but snub them as people after this incident. And last but not least, at number 1, we have Beyonce. Beyonce and Kim aren't friends, but apparently Kim used to go out of her way to get Bey's attention, and usually failed. It started with the fact that Jay-Z and Ye aren't really friends anymore either, because Ye is a little off his rocker and went on quite the rant about the power couple, individually, and it made both of them really unhappy with him. Therefore, Kim was roped into it since she was married to him. But this is about Kim and Beyonce. Fans speculate their lack of friendship is also because of their emotional and personality difference. Kim's entire life has basically been documented, whereas Beyonce is very closed off and likes to keep her personal life personal. Another reason they don't get along is that Kim is very close friends with Rachel Roy, who is an arch nemesis to Beyonce. So you can't blame her for not wanting to be around someone who's like besties with her enemy. Her snubbing of Kim is valid for so many different reasons.
In at number 10, Nick Lachey. Nick Lachey also exposed Kim for being a little too friendly with the paparazzi in order to get some publicity from him. The singer claims that Kim might have only been dating him for publicity. Apparently the pair only dated for about a week, and some shady stuff went down. One time he said, let's just say this, we went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside. And I think from that story, it's very clear that Kim was tipping off the paparazzi, so there would be photos of them together. And if you didn't already know, unless someone is like incredibly famous, if they're a paparazzi when they are out, they definitely tipped off that paparazzi. And at number 9, Jon Hamm. The Mad Men star definitely has some choice words for the Kardashians, and based off what he said, it's clear he does not like the family and doesn't approve of how they rose to fame. With him telling LUK, whether it's Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or whoever, stupidity is certainly celebrated. Being an idiot is a valuable commodity in this culture because you're rewarded significantly. It's celebrated. It doesn't make sense to me. So clearly he doesn't like the reality TV stars whatsoever, and doesn't like how our society praises socialites like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians. And like, I kinda get where he's going. Like, you know, he has some valid points. In at number 8, Kristin Cavallari. Kristin Cavallari has a very interesting relationship with the Jenner clan. It all started when Kristin dated Brody Jenner, and through that relationship she also became friends with the Kardashians. But after Brody and Kristin broke up, there was tension between Kristin and Kourtney Kardashian. After Kourtney caught Scott out with Kristin while they were in an off period. And after that, Kristin called out the family for using that information as a publicity stunt to get viewers to their show.
And allegedly, after rumors broke that Kristen and Scott were having an affair, the Kardashians refused to deny it, and instead waited to address it on their show, leaving Kristen looking like, the bad, terrible other woman, when it just wasn't even true. More than a little shady if you ask me. And at number 7, Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama also couldn't hold his tongue when talking about the famous family, and it's definitely quite the compliment when the president is speaking about you. Or is it? The former president was talking about the changing dynamics of the American dream and how it's shifting with time, saying, "There was not that window into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Kids weren't monitoring every day what Kim Kardashian was wearing or where Kanye West was going on vacation, and thinking that somehow was the mark of success." And ouch, here it's pretty obvious he was throwing some major shade their way. And he doesn't seem to like how they are now the standard for what success is. And apparently Kanye West did not like those comments and actually fired back at the president. But also, since Obama was a former president, I trust his opinion and judgment way more than Kanye's. And at number 6, Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was someone who probably challenged the Kardashian family the most and exposed secrets about them I'm sure they did not want out. Kim and Kris got married in one of the most lavish televised ceremonies ever, but famously, after only 72 days, the couple split because Kim was having second thoughts. But based off how much content their reality shows got because of that relationship, then the breakup, Kris called Kim out for fraud, arguing that the whole relationship was just a publicity stunt. And their divorce was so messy it lasted 2 whole years before it was finalized. But during the massive trial, Kris exposed that a lot of the Kardashian show was scripted, and that the show purposefully made him look bad. Like when him and Scott threw a party in one episode while the girls were out of town, and they looked really horrible for going behind their backs when they told them not to have the party. The whole thing was actually just a huge sham, with Kim and Kourtney knowing about the party and acting like they didn't know for TV, in turn making Kris look like a terrible husband when it literally wasn't like that at all. Halfway at number 5, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson revealed on a radio show that she was presented an opportunity to present an award with Kendall and Kylie Jenner, but Wilson ended up turning it down, with her saying in the interview, "I got asked to present with Kendall and Kylie at the recent VMAs and said no. It's not that you hate any of them individually, but it's just that everything they stand for is against everything I stand for, and they're not famous for talent. I've worked really hard to get where I've gotten to." And even though a lot of people who dislike the Kardashians share the same sentiments, Oprah Winfrey actually came to their defense against Wilson, if you can believe it, with Oprah saying that she couldn't believe how hard the family works, referencing when she filmed the family for Oprah's show, with crews taping the family for 7 hours straight, and then they filmed more of their reality show after. So, as we all know, the Kardashian family really works very hard, even though it doesn't seem like they do too much. And at number 4, Bette Midler. After Kim uploaded her incredibly famous nude selfie where she covered her, nether regions with just like black bars, the internet went ablaze talking about it. One of the people that didn't hold their tongue was Bette Midler, who tweeted out, "Kim Kardashian tweeted a nude selfie today. If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's gonna have to swallow the camera." Which, come on, you have to admit, it's pretty hilarious. Like, even if you like the Kardashians, it's a good tweet. As a clapback, Kim tweeted out that it was past Bette's bedtime and that she was a fake friend. And Bette responded back, "Looks like anyone can take a selfie, but not everyone can take a joke." And then she lightened the tension by posting her own nude. When talking about the feud later, Bette had no hard feelings and said she takes Twitter pretty lightly and hoping that Kim did the same. Hopefully Kim wasn't actually too peeved about that. I mean, come on, it was clearly a joke. I don't know. And at number 3, Wendy Williams. If you watch Wendy's show, which I definitely do on occasion, she spills the tea like nobody else, then you know she does not like the Kardashians and is always very blunt when talking about them. But Wendy got the spot of a Kardashian hater when she made some shady comments about Kim after her robbery incident. And when talking about the incident in Paris, Wendy said, "I would hope that she's not making any part of this up for dramatic effect. Because this family, they're kind of soulless. You can't believe everything that you hear." But this was very, very upsetting. And although I do not agree with Wendy at all that the Paris incident was a publicity stunt, a lot of people did feel that the incident could have been exaggerated by the family for views,
with people citing numerous times in the past that this has happened with the family. And again, I do not agree, but I mean, she just brought it up as kind of a possibility, and obviously, she loves to shade them whenever she can. And at number 2, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna is another Kardashian ex who was ousted from the family after her and Rob's relationship ended. And you know that whatever went down was bad, because the family is still nice to Tristan and not Chyna, even though Tristan is arguably way worse and embarrassed them so much more. The first of the feud was surrounding the fact that Kylie started dating Tyga, who was Chyna's ex. Then Chyna started dating Rob. And then the two got engaged and then pregnant very quickly. But after they had Dream, the whole thing fell apart and Chyna and the Kardashians were facing off on social media. Chyna even filed a lawsuit against the family, claiming that they stopped her show Rob and Chyna from getting a second season. A judge dismissed that case, but Chyna still shades the Kardashians whenever she can. And at number 1, Anna Wintour. This last one is something that I had no idea existed, but it's probably the shadiest one of all. So Vogue is one of the most prestigious magazines to be on the cover of, and Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were put on the cover in a very controversial move by the magazine's editor, Anna Wintour. When talking about the criticism, she noted that it would be a misstep to ignore the couple's influence, and she made the choice to lead and deal with the backlash rather than follow. And all of that praise to the couple is, all well and good, until she gives them quite a backhanded compliment, saying, "I think if we just remain deeply tasteful and just put deeply tasteful people on the cover, it would be a rather boring magazine. Nobody would talk about us." And although I totally get what she's trying to say, calling the couple, deeply untasteful is definitely more than a little shady. But I mean, if anyone can shade anyone, it's Anna Wintour. She can shade whoever she wants.
First up, Kanye West. Kim and Kanye were one of the most hated couples during the almost 7 years that they were together. They took their relationship public in the spring of 2012, and after that, it was just mayhem. Kanye, who had been pursuing her for some time, name-dropped his future partner in his 2012 single, Cold, saying, "And I'll admit, I had fell in love with Kim around the same time she had fell in love with him." By June of 2012, Kim was calling herself a proud girlfriend, and by the end of the year, she was pregnant with the couple's first child, Northwest, who was born in June of 2013. Kanye proposed to Kim in October of 2013, and the couple wed in Florence, Italy soon after. While they were together, Kim and Kanye had more than their fair share of cringy couple moments. Everyone remembers the music video for Bound 2 because it left a lot of people feeling uncomfortable. So during that video, Kanye rides a motorcycle through the desert, and he's joined by Kim, who's completely in the nude. In every single shot. Every single one. They're either kissing or caressing each other, which is nearly impossible to watch without cringing. And while their relationship was messy, the divorce was even messier. When Kim moved on with Pete Davidson, Kanye was extremely threatened. So one of the things that Kanye did to mess with Pete was he posted a photo of a fake New York Times cover on Insta with the headline reading, "Skeet Davidson is dead at age 28. Then he made a social media post saying, "Hold your spouse close, make sure they know how much you love and appreciate them, because there is a skeet lurking in every dirty alleyway waiting to help destroy your family, and walk around in Calvin jeans around your children." So after the divorce, it seems like Kanye set out to ruin Kim's love life. Kim and Ray J met when she was working for his older sister Brandy in 2005. Ray said, "To be honest, the whole thing started off wrong. We'd known each other for a while before we dated, and there was a mutual attraction, but she was married. She let me know she wanted to get with me, and after that, I kind of felt obligated to be with her." Last year, Kris Jenner went on the Late Late Show with James Corden, where she was strapped to a lie detector and interviewed about the infamous tape that was released in 2007 of Kim and Ray J. Kris denied the years-long speculation that she was involved in its production, and once the results came back, it seemed as though she was telling the truth. Of course, Kim kept up with this narrative too, but neither of them had expected Ray J to respond to the interview. He appeared on Instagram Live with a full presentation to prove that she was lying. He showed screenshots of the text messages that Kanye West had sent him, asking for the original tapes because he had wanted to give them back to Kim. In the messages, Kanye asks if there's a time where the two can meet or talk to discuss the matter further. In a response, Ray J said, "I got 2 kids and a tech company. Why would I involve myself in this? I'm so past this, bro. I'm assuming you know the full story from 05, right? How it happened, who brokered the deal, who put it all together, etc." This is when Ray J made the most shocking revelation ever. He said, "Kris Jenner is the one who made us shoot the second tape in Santa Barbara." He then claims that Kris orchestrated the filming of the last tape and even watched them to decide which was best. Alrighty, time for Pete Davidson. So this coupling happened on the set of Saturday Night Live. Kim later said that she felt a spark when they shared a kiss during their Aladdin comedy sketch. But people started cringing at the relationship when Kim started spilling a few too many details of their bedroom life. While some people appreciated the honesty, others thought it was a bit too much. Then there was the tattoos. Fans thought it was a huge red flag that Pete had tattoos of Kim and her 4 kids. Now that they've broken up, it seems like it was a poorly thought out permanent decision. One of the tattoos Pete had dedicated to Kim said, "My girl is a lawyer," which he got to celebrate her passing the baby bar. He also got the names Aladdin and Jasmine with an infinity symbol between them, which is that reference to that first kiss on SNL. And the 4 children? Yeah, it was the initials, reading KNSCP. But of course, Kim didn't get any cheesy couple tattoos done of herself, and that really says a lot about the differences between them. One of the biggest complications of this relationship was Kanye West. Like I mentioned before, he was just so threatened by the idea of his ex-wife moving on with Pete that he made it his mission to try and make his life hell. As a result, fans felt bad that Pete had to go through all of that because you could tell it was really putting a strain on his mental health. While it was great that he did stand by Kim during all the Kanye drama, clearly at some point it became too much for anybody to have to put up with. As Perez Hilton reported, in 2017, Kim Kardashian was the very first girl that Nick Lachey was spotted on a date with after his split from Jessica Simpson. It was only one date, but of course, conveniently, they were photographed by paparazzi on said date, which does make it seem like it was a PR relationship. One of the editors who commented on the story said, "That was one of the early stunts that backfired. We tried to get her to F Nick so she could be a celebrity girlfriend. She would literally bake him a basket of muffins and try to get him to come to her place, and he wouldn't go. So they went to dinner somewhere in the North Valley and we had paparazzi there. But our paparazzi told all the other paparazzi, so it was a mess." That's their version of the events. But interestingly enough, Kim Kardashian's team denies this, and it's unlikely they would ever admit to one of their relationships being fake. Kris Humphries proposed to Kim on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians after 6 months of dating, and the two wed in August of 2011. 72 days later, she filed for divorce. Kim eventually told Andy Cohen that she knew their marriage was doomed during the honeymoon, but she went through it because of the pressure from getting older. She was 30 years old at the time and thought, "I'd better get married." That 72-day marriage had certainly shown signs that it was going to end quickly. Like a few days before Kim divorced Kris, I think it was day 68, the couple was spotted arguing in their car while out on a dinner date in Hollywood. The newlywed couple was photographed heading back to Kim's car after dinner, and you could see the tension in the air. Kris looked fed up, and Kim was giving her new husband the death stare while yelling and waving her hands at him as the argument was escalating. This very public fight was kind of indicative that their relationship was on the rocks, because, well, that same year, Kim went to file for divorce and get the marriage annulled. The LA Times even reported that Kim had only married him to increase ratings on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The best part was that Kris asked for a $7 million divorce settlement from his ex-wife, otherwise he threatened to make her endure an ugly public trial. But the NBA star ended up walking away with literally nothing. When speaking about their marriage, Kris said, "Look, I should have known what I was getting into. I was definitely naive about how much my life was going to change. But the one thing that really bothers me is whenever people say my marriage was fake. There's definitely a lot about that world that is not entirely real, but our actual relationship was 100% real. When it was clear that it wasn't working, what can I say? It sucked." Nick Cannon and Kim were briefly an item. In fact, he may have accidentally torched his relationship with Mariah Carey by recounting this fact in 2014 when he said, "It's been a lot of people since me." A few months later, it was reported that the admission reportedly humiliated Mariah Carey, and that's when the relationship between her and Nick Cannon never recovered. The two of them filed for divorce in 2014, and that was finalized 2 years later, but things ended poorly also between Kim and Nick, because the two of them were seen ignoring each other when they turned up at the same fashion event. And in this case, it's kind of clear that she was the one who dodged the bullet. Since 2011, Nick has had 11 children with 6 different women, and I think he at least has one more on the way. It's a lot of kids. Kim and Reggie Bush dated off and on from 2007 to 2010. There was a bit of controversy about the two of them reuniting, and apparently up until her 2011 wedding to Kris Humphries, Reggie was still pining for Kim and sending her texts and voicemails telling her she's making a mistake and that he's the one for her. But things between them were clearly not meant to be. A few years later in 2012, Amber Rose went on to claim that Kim cheated on Reggie with Kanye and called her a homewrecker. She said, "Kim was one of the main reasons why me and Kanye are not together. She's a homewrecker. They were both cheating on me and Reggie with each other. What an absolute mess." It was reported in April of 2010 that famed soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo and Kim had hooked up during her vacation to Madrid, and they met at an event at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Sadly, by August, he'd moved on, and newspapers everywhere were shooting down rumors that he and Kim were back together. Although it's worth noting that this is not the only sports star she's had a fling with. Kim and Tom Brady have become pretty friendly recently, as it was said that Kim is looking to buy a vacation home in Tom's neighborhood at Bakers Bay and Gulf Gulf Ocean Club. This neighborhood is an exclusive members-only residential community in the Bahamas, by the way. She flew to the Bahamas just recently and was spotted touring the resort. A source close to her told Page 6 that Kim and Tom are friendly. She phoned him and asked for his advice on Baker's Bay. She's very familiar with the community and she's been eyeing property there for quite some time. Other insiders have since come forward saying that they do know each other, but they aren't involved romantically. But hey, if she moves to the neighborhood, maybe their friendship could turn into something more. It was reported in July of 2010 that Kim and Miles Austin looked pretty happy together. They were canoodling all night. He's a pretty shy and low-key guy, so he's perfect for her. Which sounded promising, but of course, the relationship was not meant to last. And whatever it was, it would fizzle by September, leading newspapers to report that they are not getting back together, they are just friends. And sometimes, that's just the way it ends. And last but not least, it was reported in October of 2010 that serial celebrity dater John Mayer had his eye on the curvy Kim Kardashian, referencing a night out that the pair had with friends to see if they would hit it off. It was reported that the two of them had been on several dates by themselves after the group situation, but clearly nothing came out of that outing because by May of 2019, John was denying any reports that he was dating Kourtney Kardashian. It's no surprise though, considering the singer is a bit of a playboy. His reputation as a womanizer definitely precedes him, especially with Jessica Simpson. So that couple dated for a year, but they broke up like several times throughout the relationship. In fact, sources close to the couple told People that things were always on and off between the pair and they had arguments constantly. Unfortunately, 2006 marked the year that they split for good. The couple was on vacation in Mexico when photos of them arguing in the balcony of their room hit the papers. Jessica looked like she was in tears as it was undoubtedly a breakup. The news of their split came out shortly after the photos were released, meaning there's a good chance that the paparazzi actually captured the moment when Jessica and John called things off.